Hey everyone, Levi Keller here, and today we are talking about microphones. We're going to learn all about them, which ones are good for certain sources, what makes each type unique. So grab a cup of coffee, kick back, relax, and enjoy. But before we get into the video, a quick word from our sponsor, me. I want to tell you about my full music production course called Don't Suck at Recording. In the course we learn production, recording, mixing, and mastering techniques to help you get the music inside your head to come out of the speakers. Check the link in the description, it will take you to the site and you can learn all about it there. Alright, let's talk about microphones. In this lesson, we are going over a few different things you should know about microphones. There are a few different types of microphones, and in order to pick the best mic for the job, we will need to know a little bit about them and what makes them suitable for different applications. Now, the first thing we need to know about microphones is that they can have different types of polar patterns, which according to Rode microphones is, and I quote, the sensitivity of a given microphone to sounds arriving from different angles to its central axis, end quote. So basically, it's how the mic picks up the sound around it. There are many different types of polar patterns, but popular ones include omni or omnidirectional, which picks up sound from 360 degrees around the mic. Figure 8, which picks up sound from the front and back of the microphone while rejecting sound from the sides, and cardioid, which picks up sound from the front of the microphone and rejects sound from the back. That polar pattern kind of looks like a heart shape, hence the name cardioid. And there are many different ones in between these, but those are the main ones. So let's get into a few different types of microphones, how they work, and what they might be good for. The first one we are going to look at is condenser microphones. Now, condenser mics are usually pretty open and natural sounding, and they're usually great choices for acoustic instruments like acoustic guitar, vocals, violin, drum overheads, and stuff like that. They work well for these types of instruments because they're normally pretty sensitive and pick up a lot of detail. This also means that they sometimes can distort easier than other types of microphones if you have a really loud sound source. So it's a good idea to make sure that there's no distortion if you are miking up something really loud. Condenser mics come in a couple different varieties, large diaphragm and small diaphragm. A large diaphragm is that bigger classic looking studio vocal mic, and it has a larger sized capsule. A small diaphragm condenser is smaller and thinner with a smaller capsule. Condenser mics do need power in order to work, and they can get that from a mic pre, which is that plus 48 volt button on your mic pre or your interface, and some even have an external power supply. Condenser mics can have many different polar patterns depending on the microphone and can include omnidirectional, figure 8, cardioid, and many others. There are many different popular condenser microphones including Neumann U47, 67, and 87, AKG 214 and 414s, and many different offerings from Telefunken, Manley, Shure, the list goes on and on. More recently, Aston microphones have become really popular. Alright, the second type of microphone we will look at are dynamic microphones, and these are great for just about anything, but are usually used for louder sound sources because they're a bit less sensitive than condenser mics and can withstand a higher sound pressure level. They're great for both live and studio use and work well for guitar cabs, snare drums, and honestly just about anything. Even this SM7 is a dynamic mic and it's a great vocal mic. They're good at rejecting what is not right up close to the mic, and they usually give a slightly more aggressive and tight sound. Dynamic mics do not need phantom power, but they usually require a bit more boost from your preamp to get a good signal because they are less sensitive, especially if the volume of the source you're picking up is lower. Dynamic mics usually have a cardioid polar pattern. Some popular dynamic mics are SM57 and 58 and SM7. Alright, the third type of mic we will look at are ribbon mics. These are closely related to dynamic mics because of the way they work. You might be familiar with old microphones from radio, and those were ribbon mics. Ribbon mics usually have a nice smooth tone to them and are great for acoustic instruments, some styles of vocals. I love them on horns, woodwinds, drum room mics, guitar cabs, violin, just about everything. They have the same general way of working as dynamic microphones, except instead of a mic capsule, they actually use a little metal ribbon to pick up the sound waves. I actually built a ribbon mic in a microphone class in college, and I broke 3 of the ribbons trying to install it between the magnets. I had to cut and fold the ribbon myself. It was insane. The little metal ribbons are so light that if you let go of them in the air, they will actually float. Like dynamic microphones, ribbon mics usually require a bit of a more powerful mic pre if you're expecting to use them on a softer sound source. You usually do not need phantom power for ribbon mics, although there are some exceptions. Actually, some can be destroyed if you send phantom power to them, so you have to be very careful if you're using one. Popular ribbon mics include the Royer 121, Beyerdynamic M160, Cascade Fathead,
What'd you call me?
and Coles 4038, which is the classic Beatles overhead drum mic. Alright, so there you have a little breakdown of microphones. When you're miking up an instrument to record, mic choice really does matter, so you can really get into it if you want to, but at the same time, a microphone is a microphone, so don't feel the need to go buy a ton of them unless you're finding yourself needing them. Having 1 or 2 good ones that you actually have a use for is a great way to start out, especially when you're first starting to record, unless you just really like options. I do have a recommended microphone lesson in this course, so be sure to check that out if you need help picking one out. If you have any questions on microphones or types of microphones, just let me know and I will see you in the next lesson.